today is so today then, we're going to follow up on from the week before spring break. We watched the film Food Inc. and we had a good discussion in here that Friday before spring break if you were here for that. And I told you that we were going to have someone come in who really has his kind of hands in this. And he is going to be able to talk to you a little bit more about, from his perspective, how we can become better informed as consumers, and be healthier with respect to our diet. And so he's going to have some interesting conversation going today. It is helpful to, when he asks questions, to participate and talk as much as we can. So if you have any questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer for you. So please feel free to raise your hand if you do as he's talking. And I'll let him go forward and tell you a little bit more about himself. His name is Josh, and he's from DAcres Farm.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. All right, so as was noted in the class prior, Rebecca's brought me in because this is the day after spring break, and you guys are ramping back up for your academic calendar to close out the year. But you might, I'm here to sort of add a little bit of
spice.
A little spice, yeah. I'm Mr. Spice on this one. I am really passionate about food. I'm really passionate about life. Yeah, I'm pretty positive about this whole experience we're having here on planet Earth, right? It's something that I appreciate and value and enjoy. And so food to me, and this whole concept of health and wellness, is just integral to that whole process of enjoying this life. If you guys don't have readily available, if you could get out a little pencil and paper to write on, we're going to have a little brainstorm session. But as you're getting that stuff out, just a little bit about myself. I grew up in North Carolina in the agricultural section of the state, in the plains, where they used to grow a lot of tobacco. They grow less tobacco now, and where they raise commodity crops, and they raise a lot of pigs. North Carolina's a busy place. As you guys probably noted from the Food Inc., yeah, the Smithfield is in North Carolina, the production facility where they do 2,000 animals an hour or whatnot. It's a pretty intense place that I come from, with a lot of agricultural history. And I moved up to New Hampshire to get into farming and to get into agriculture, as much as anything because I value the life and the health that we've been granted. In other words, farming to me was a really great excuse to have quality food all the time and be outdoors in fresh air and get plenty of exercise. That's what I really thought about when I thought about having a good life, having a healthy life, was food, fresh air, and exercise. Is there more to it than that? There must be something more to it than that. Right? You can't just be on an island and have good food and exercise and that be enough, is it? But the other component, I think, of health, particularly for humanity, because we are sort of social creatures, would be our relationship in a healthy community, yeah? Amongst other people. So the components that I was really looking for when I graduated college to have a good life was this fresh air, this good food, and a healthy community. And so when I'm talking about farming and agriculture, those are the components that I'm really sinking my teeth into, yeah? We got our pieces of paper out. Now we're going to have our little brainstorm. And so we're going to make a little list. And this is to help you guys sort of get a hold of the concept, from my perspective, of nutrition and health. So first off, we're going to list 5 good things for us and our bodies. So be it something you like to ingest, or something you like to do, or something that is good for you. Right? So 5 things. Boom. Just, brainstorm. There's no right or wrong here. We're just looking to get our mental capacity going and thinking about what's good for us. Yeah? Alright, so just to let you know, question number 2 is going to be the contrary of that. So what's bad for you? What's bad to put in you? What's bad to be around? What's bad for your health? Right? Now the last question of the day, the final test question, and once again there's no right or wrong answers, but what's important to you? Yeah, this is more of a philosophical thing, and this sort of goes back to the wellness and the health and the happiness that we're going to get out of this life. But what's important to you? And if you can, try to steer clear from this material stuff. I don't really want to hear about your iPhone or your car, something like that, you know, because you can't take this stuff with you. It's really has very little value in this life, material things. So everybody got a list of 3 different things going here? Important stuff, stuff that's good for you, stuff that's bad for you. Alright. Do you guys want to share any of this stuff? Because we've heard that you were perhaps not as vocal as the classes we had before, so this would be one of the exercises we're using to encourage you guys to share what you feel and know. What do you guys think is like good stuff for you? Any ideas? Thoughts? Who wrote something down? Yeah, what you got?
I put sunlight.
Sunlight! That's good for everything. The sun is what pretty much given life to this whole planet. Very good, positive thing. I like that. Any other good things for you that you like to take in you, or you like to, makes you healthy, makes you happy? What you got?
Water.
Water. Crucial component. It makes me so freaked out that we poop in our water. So crazy. It just, like, this whole building is set up so everybody just defecates into the same water that would otherwise be coming out of the water fountain. It's crazy. Like, they don't have, like, just already dirty water. They give you the clean water to poop in. Crazy. It's crazy. It just doesn't even make sense. This world is full of that stuff. Nobody's taking the time to think about it. And yeah, they pump water uphill and put it in a little porcelain throne, and you sit there. It's just like, why? Why? I just don't even know. And it's so standardized. And it says on it, American standard. It's amazing. All right, so what else do we got? What do we like to put in us? There's more. Are you sharing with her, not with me? What's going on? You got one? Oh, they're important stuff. That's important to you. Not material things, though. If you can help it. Who else has got stuff that's good for you want to put in here? Yes, ma'am. Fruits and vegetables. Food. Good food. Yes. Very important. Very important. And anything else? We got some other good things for us? Yes, sir.
Oxygen.
Oxygen. This is very cool. You guys like see all the pieces. That's it. That's important. I like that. It is. Now we're going to get back to this stuff. This is cool. Wait, you got one?
Exercise.
Exercise. Vibrancy in life. Yeah. We weren't built here to just be bowls of jelly. We were put on this planet to do something. And so yeah, to move and feel your body is just a fantastic thing. Anything else? I think within that, with exercise, and I was just thinking, is like touch. Like so many health professionals now and so forth advocate like either massage or some Reiki or these other ways that touch and that sort of energy from humans to one another can really be helpful to health. And also like being exposed to nature. We'll take that a step further. Being exposed to like animals and plants, like will give people health. Like there's been studies where like you keep people in a square box or whatnot and they don't do so good. But if you get them outdoors and back into a natural environment, then they respond a lot better. I think we should really think about that when we think about how we're designing our hospitals. Good grief. Those are some scary places, huh? I really want to get well in there. Prison. All right, who's got some more good stuff? Is that it? Is that all the good things? All right, well, we're going to skip the bad stuff. You guys all know about the bad stuff. I'm sure your list is comprehensive. You're college students. You got stuff that I don't even know about, you know. I graduated like 20 years ago, so there's probably more bad stuff all the time. But I think what we should talk about at this point is how to gain health in nutrition. And I really want to go back to how you guys have looked at the fundamental parts. I think it's really cool how you guys have sort of broken down like water, oxygen, exercise, and sort of looking at this thing, how do we combine and interconnect all this stuff to create like a holistic health? Because it's just not water, and it's just not oxygen, and it's not just exercise, and it's just not community, and it's just not nature. It's all this stuff put together, right? And that's when, like, education in general is taking the next step. When you can go beyond just basic arithmetic and just basic languages, and you start getting multidisciplinary, yeah? And you start really looking at the world how it is as this complex, evolving system. It's cool. So, how do we get this true health? How are we going to maintain our vibrancy? Like, where do we get this from? Like, some of it maybe is a little genetic, you know, based on who we are and our inclination. You know, we all have natural abilities and disabilities. But where do we get our health? You guys have a sense of this? Like, food is a component, right? But what's healthy food? When you guys go into the grocery store this week, how are you going to differentiate between what's healthy and what's not? What's your criteria? When you look at something, you're making this, and you're making these choices, you're rationalizing this, you're reasoning through it. How do you determine what's healthy or not? Yes, ma'am?
Whole foods versus processed foods?
Whole foods versus processed foods. That's a substantial component of what we're talking about. So what you're saying is, if you eat an orange with all the fiber in it, it's better than orange juice, perhaps? Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. And if we eat whole grains, if we have like whole wheat flour versus white flour, that's going to be better for us, right? Because the white flour has been processed and bleached, and you know all the nutrients have been more or less taken out of it. Yeah. Why do they do that to food?
Does it taste better?
Taste is one thing. Are you sure of that?
Well, the taste and consistency, all that stuff.
Okay, let's see what you're getting at a little bit. Let's handle those two separately. I think the taste factor. Foods are designed by corporations to make you buy them, right? They want you to buy more of their stuff. So on the taste factor, they're trying to get at those, 3 or 4 taste buds that are very rare in nature, that seem to like overwhelm us. What are they like? Salt, sweet, fat, right? So the manufacturers are going to take out the good stuff, which they actually use somewhere else. You know, they'll take out protein and nutrients, and they're going to use that somewhere else, and then they'll put in some sugar, some sweet to trick you and get you to buy this thing, right? So, what is that? What kind of scam is that, huh? Society, capitalism. Okay, so that taste thing, that is manufactured taste. Profit taste is what we're talking about, right? That's the poor nutrient taste. But I would argue that fresh food tastes better than processed food. Like if you have fresh food, like broccoli tastes a lot better if you cut it off the broccoli plant than if you go to Denny's and go to the salad bar where it's been sitting there for 2 weeks and shipped from California. Like that whole freshness element is crucial to flavor. So as far as taste, like the nutritional content, it's sort of, it's nebulous, it's mysterious, it's oftentimes elusive, you know? Manufacturers are putting up illusions to convince you that this is good for you, because it tastes good. But it might not be. So what was the other component of that? The taste and the consistency. Because when you go to somewhere to get something to eat, what you want uniformity? You're scared of what you might get if you pull off the interstate and you go into Ma and Pa's house, right? If you just like go to this restaurant and you don't know what's in the menu and if the food's going to be good, you don't trust them. But Mickey D's, where they have the same stuff on the menu all over the United States at all 200,000 locations, you trust these people. They're going to give you consistent quality. Well, wait a minute. They're going to give you consistency. Yeah? This is sort of, I mean, I understand the feeling. If I'm on the interstate and I'm trying to get to Kansas or I don't know where, but if I only have a certain amount of time in my day, I want fast food. I want to make sure that, if I'm going to spend money, that I get what I know I'm going to get. But the food's bad. Like at Mickey D's. We know it's bad. It's consistently bad. That's a conundrum right there. Isn't that confusing? Life is complex. This food system is tough. But I like where you're going. These are great thoughts and ideas about how this system is set up. Yeah? Because it doesn't make sense. And we need to figure out how to make it make sense, make it sustainable, and make it healthy. So we've got to ask these questions. How about you? What do you think makes food nutritious? You look like you're in good shape. You take care of yourself. How'd you get there? Is it just genetics?
No, I say eat healthy.
Eat healthy.
What's healthy?
Yeah.
Just not a lot of processed foods.
So you don't eat like stuff in bags, chips, and try to steer clear of sort of you can't tell what it was. Like I look at some of these chips or nachos or what was that? I don't even know what that was. Some of these processed food, you open them in the bag, and they might have them in every single convenience store in the United States. But what is in a combo? You know that little snack food? Like, what is that? It's like, you can't even tell. Is that a plant or is that it's just, it's not even, it's not food. Some sort of processed thing. We're really fortunate comparatively to what we eat and what we put in us. We seem to be surviving. Let me give you some examples. Okay, the alcohol. Alcohol is a poison, yeah? We managed to drink it with crazy propensities. Crazy volumes of the stuff. And alcohol is a poison. The caffeine. The caffeine, I don't know where that's coming from in the natural system, but lots of us North Americans don't seem to be able to live without it, right? And this is really within the last 100 years. But right now, we're all addicted to speed. It's crazy, if you think about it, that, this caffeine, this drug, that speeds you up, makes you sweat, gets you hopped up, that it's just a social norm. And the other thing is the stuff isn't particularly good for you. You know, it dehydrates you, it strips the nutrients and vitamins out of your body. It's true. But we all love it, you know. I don't think it. I've weaned myself to that particular advice myself. But it's prevalent in our society, and it has no nutritional value. In fact, it is a nutritional detractor. What about other things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis that we sort of are assuming, or we just have found ourselves in this rut? When I see college kids, and I'm going to make you guys into a stereotype, I'm sorry, but lots of you seem to be drinking energy drinks, right? And it's like, if you don't have enough energy right now in college, then folks, really, you're going to get hurt and worse and worse. Because you're in the prime of your life. You're 18 to 24 years old. You should have adequate energy without taking the stuff and getting hopped up on it. You're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. You're putting yourself in a situation where you're dependent. And it just seems a little bizarre. Now, I'll say something else that I've noticed, particularly in this building. Lots of you take the elevator. I don't see the elevator. I think is there for old people. Old people and somebody who can't get up the stairs who's really in need. Otherwise, I mean, it takes a lot of electricity to yank that thing up 4 stories with you in it. A lot of electricity that really you don't even know where it comes from, and you could be getting healthier. You could be getting your exercise on. So it just doesn't connect with me. And I'm not putting anybody down because they took the elevator or whatnot, but it just doesn't make sense that you guys are the vigor of our society. And you take the elevator and you drink energy drinks. It just doesn't, something's not matching up right there, you know what I mean? As it should be. And you know, we've all fallen into it, and once again, I'm not saying your buzz is bad. I'm drinking an energy drink. I know what a Gatorade tastes like. But we got to make these choices. We're the ones that are spending the money to Gator gum or whatnot. You know, if you look at the recipe on the thing, it's corn syrup. It's corn syrup. So, something to think about. What other ways can we get nutrition from this food thing, from our lives? Yes. Habits?
Like family habits. If you grow up with people that are around you that are healthy, might rub off on you, or you'll have a better tendency to choose better foods.
I like that. Yeah, availability, habits, knowledge. You know, how many of you know how to grow your own food?
Raise your hand.
So you feel comfortable planting the seed and seeing it come up, and maybe you raised some animals before. That's great. That's really great. I really had no experience with that growing up. I grew up in the suburbs. My dad's like a doctor. And you would think I would know more about that sort of stuff, you know, the food and the essence of our health, if my dad was a medical scientist. But they're so specialized, all he does is look at x-rays all day. He doesn't really deal with health. Do you know that in medical school, how much do you think they study nutrition? How many hours are recommended in nutrition to prevent illness? In medical school, how many sessions of nutrition do you imagine they give you? It's like a 3-hour class. It's like what you guys are taking right now. It's nothing. It's pathetic. The whole system is geared towards, once you got a problem, how to fix it. It's not geared towards preventing the problem. So, how do we get nutrition? We talked a little bit about processing foods. And so, we talked basically about stripping the nutrients from the food and so forth, like when you get bleached flour and so forth. But I also want to talk about how nutrition is added to foods. Does anyone have any examples of that? How you would take a fruit product and make it more nutritious, or better for you, or have a longer shelf life. Like, you think about all these ways where the corporations have designed ways to have food have a tremendously long shelf life, strip all the nutrients of it. But there's also ways that you can take a food product, like say a cabbage, and process it very simply so that it has more nutritional content. Does anybody know what that's called? What the food item that you take cabbage and ferment it is called? You do, but you don't. Guess? Sauerkraut? Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut. Somebody said it, maybe. Sauerkraut. You guys all familiar with that? Yeah, you go to the ball game, you put a little bit on your hot dog or whatnot. Sauerkraut is made from cabbage, and you salt it, you put it in a brine, and it keeps for months. Months. And it's really good for you. It's really good for you because the protein from the fermentation process is actually greater. And there's a bunch of bacteria in it, and it makes your stomach digest your food better. I eat sauerkraut about 3 times a day. Because we grow a buku cabbage and there's no way to keep it past a month or two without turning it into sauerkraut. What's another way that we take a food product and value add it in this way? We give it a longer shelf life. Pickled stuff? Yeah, great example. And
That's what I was thinking of.
Lord. Pickled stuff. And milk. What do we do with milk? Pasture. Okay, don't drink that stuff. Pasteurization definitely increases the shelf life, but you're killing it. You're killing the life of it. Gosh, okay, maybe because we think science is good, we should take all the milk that comes out of a cow and pasteurize it before we give it to the calves. Maybe instead of people breastfeeding from their mothers, we should take all the milk out of the mother and boil it first, and then feed it to the infant. Does that make any sense? Why do we do this to our food? Pasteurization is another one of these, like, take the life out of it. The other way you can go with it, if you want the milk to last longer and be more valuable, is to make something called yogurt. You guys familiar with this stuff? Yogurt? Okay, yogurt is rotten milk. Ta-da! You take bacteria. If you look on the yogurt container, it'll tell you there's tons of, like, the better yogurt has more bacteria, right? And it's rotten milk. We make yogurt all the time. It's really simple. You take milk and you heat it up, and then you pour a bunch of inoculant in it, other yogurt in it, and that's full of the bacteria. And so you have that heated milk, and you just poured a bunch of live bacteria in it, and that's what makes yogurt. And all that live bacteria is what really helps your stomach. Like, yogurt is very good. When I go to, like, travel South America or something like that, and I'm feeling a little Montezuma coming on, yogurt, live culture yogurt is where it's at. Seriously, yo. Those bacteria are good. This is all around it. If we keep looking at food and want to say, okay, I want sterile food, I want the same food, I want homogeny, I always want the same kind of pizza. I like Domino's because I like Domino's. We got to get get out of this box. There's more to this life than eating the same dang food every day. I've got about 10 more minutes, is that right? How much?
Actually, we go until 1:10 if you need it.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh boy! Alright, so what kind, do you guys got any questions before I break into something else? This could stall. You could get a little stall out of this, or else you're just going to have to listen. Alright. So, let's take it in the big picture then. Nutrition is based on a couple things. You can decide what to eat. So you can choose between certain plants or animals or parts of animals. So on the one hand, you have salad, right? Everybody likes salad. It's got some fiber to it. It's good. Iceberg lettuce is on this one side, and then like kale is on the other. Spinach, stuff that's green, real green, for stuff that's sort of pale green, right? So this iceberg lettuce has very little nutritional content, and this kale is like spinach food, like Popeye food. And they both could be grown in the same space, and they both sort of hit the same market, and they both have fiber in them, but one is nutritionally devoid of anything but a little bit of fiber and a little bit of water. And then kale is like a multivitamin. I mean, this stuff is rich in iron and magnesium and calcium and like the stuff you need. So some of nutrition is what types of plants. There's when you think of grains, for instance. Are you guys familiar with, say, quinoa? It's in the grocery store, and when you look at how it's spelled, you say, that wasn't what he just said. I'm familiar with quinoa because it's like Quinoa. But that particular grain has all the amino acids in it necessary to make a true protein. So instead, typically when you're vegetarian, you need to mix beans and grains together to get your full proteins. But quinoa, this specific plant, has every of these 23 different types of proteins that can make that real protein chain happen that you need, the building blocks, without meat. So a plant can supply all that protein that you need. Another question in terms of this nutrition, and this seems sort of obvious to me, but I'm a farmer. I sort of deal with this stuff all the time. But do you guys have a sense of how, if you're growing like kale or some sort of crop, tomatoes, that the nutrition in the tomato is going to be a direct result of what? Like, two farmers are growing tomatoes. One farmer, this neck of the woods, grows a tomato that don't have much to it. It's nutritionally devoid. Maybe he's growing like in hydroponics or something, and he's just pumping like nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus to it. And then you got this other farmer who's growing organic. He's putting lots of trace minerals into his soil. He's really building the life of his soil. And that tomato that he produces is nutrient dense. That's a term we use in agriculture. When we want to be the best farmer, we want to produce nutritionally dense food for you. We don't want to produce volumes of crap. We want to produce good, solid, nutritionally balanced food for you. It's not just yield, it's quality. And so nutritional density is what's really important. So how do you get nutritional density if you're a farmer? The soil. The soil is the key to all of this. We're all going to be blessed. You're on one side of the road and the other. We're all going to be blessed with the sunshine. We're all going to be blessed with, the same thereabouts of rain. The atmospheric content of the gases that are important, carbon dioxide, for instance, is all going to be relatively the same all over the planet. The major definitive difference in nutritional content that's transferred and derived through these agricultural products is based on the soil. Can you see how important that is? How important then soil becomes to the health of people, to the health of the nation, to the health of our planet? It is fundamental. We're really not doing squat without this stuff. On many levels. All meat is grass is a common way of looking at this big picture. All meat is grass. So when I say that, I mean everything on our plate in terms of meat. Beef, goat critter, sheep, lamb, pig. It's all coming from vegetables, right? And grass, which is all coming from soil. So we're just a part of that chain. And we're not going to get healthy, strong, nutrient-dense beef unless that beef critter's been eating healthy food, which is dependent on the soil. The dirt. I love it. It's also simple in some sense, isn't it? I don't know how we've gotten so far away from that simplicity. Any questions at this juncture? Okay, I'll keep going. Vegetarianism. Any guys in here are vegetarians? You raise your hand? You're a vegetarian?
They know that, yeah.
And it's because she's the professor and she's smart. But I'm not a vegetarian. I wish I could be, and I think I will be again. I was a vegetarian from like 17 to 30 odd, so over 10 years. And I really got into vegetarianism because of a moral situation. I chose to become a vegetarian because I don't like killing animals. It's not fun for me. I mean, I do it and I need to, but I don't like to look at another critter in the eye and kill it. It's hard for me. The other reason is that on a global scale, we're over-consuming meat. Like, you guys probably got better facts than me, but at this juncture in the United States, the average is over 200 pounds of meat per person per year, which is over a half pound per day of flesh. You guys know what that really is? That quantity per day? Earlier in the century, it was like 70, 80 pounds per person per year, which is a lot more closer to the world average. And what all this excess consumption of meat is doing is it's really depleting our resources. This meat that we're eating is basically fossil fuels, right? It takes a whole lot of fossil fuels to make beef. It takes a whole lot of water. It takes a whole lot of feed. It takes a whole lot of transportation. It takes a whole lot of refrigeration. It's a lot more energy embodied than if you were a vegetarian. And I'll tell you, it's not only the water and the different nutrients that it's going to take to raise that beef critter, it's the actual trophic disintegration of energy. This is going to be on the test, folks. When in biology class you guys studied the different trophic layers of biology, you know how the sun hits the earth and it produces mass vegetation. And there's like a volumetric measurement there. Or it hits the ocean and it produces a vast amount of phytoplankton. And then you go on up the food chain, right? Until you get like the orca whale in the ocean, or in this instance, this is maybe the man on the land. And each level of that trophic pyramid, you lose 10 times the energy. So in other words, for me to feed a cow to produce 1 unit of protein, I have to feed that cow 10 units to make 1. Because the cow's got to live, the cow's got to grow, the cow's got to get by. He sits there and, you know how inefficient a cow is? Like, there's a lot of methane produced, there's a lot, it just living there takes a lot of energy. So instead of feeding 10 people, you fed the cow. And you get one unit in return. Does that make sense to you in terms of energy levels? I don't know how you're going to ask this question on the test. But I would like you guys to understand this in reasonable scientific terms. That the energy that you could have ate on a dinner plate in beans, instead of doing that, we have grown, oftentimes corn, for these cows so they could stand around and grow. And then at the end of the day, we're going to put the lights out and we're going to eat them. And it has been a net loss of energy that is very inefficient. Why do they do this? Why do they do this? It's some of our taste preferences, and some of it is corporations stealing our rights away from us. You know, this stuff is set up through the government and subsidization. You know, there's certain corporations that have been encouraged to follow this track. Archer Daniel Midland, Cargill, all these places that produce these massive amounts of corn to feed cows that don't even like corn. They're doing it to make money off us at the risk of our health. Now, I'm not a vegetarian anymore, right? I eat meat. I'll eat critters that I have to shoot. I hunt turkeys. Turkeys bother us. If deer come around, I'll shoot and kill them. We also raise pigs and chickens, and I will kill them and share them with people, and I'll eat them myself. The reason that we've decided to do that is because we are opting to utilize the animals to help us develop our arable land on our property. So particularly the pigs are nature's tractor. So instead of using a tractor, we'll raise pigs in an area and they'll cultivate the land so that then I can grow potatoes and beans and the crops that I need to grow to get the protein from vegetables. And we've also planted a whole bunch of nut trees. Black walnuts, butternuts, pecans, hazelnuts, chestnuts, but lots of varieties of nut trees. But unfortunately, it takes 10, 15 years before you get your first nut. So some of those trees that, you know, people cut down in their front yard, black walnut all the time, is a real potential food source, but it's into the future. It takes a long time to develop those perennial systems. So I would like to be a vegetarian again someday. I don't really like killing animals. I don't like looking sentient beings in the eyes and ending their lives. It's not fun. But for the time being, I am being complicit in that. what I would like you guys to think about is, you know, when you go to the grocery store, it can sometimes be a lot easier to go and pick up something in a freezer pack that doesn't have any eyes to look back at you, take it to the grill and roast it. But I want you to start thinking about all the different layers of this dilemma. Think about, you know, potentially that meat has been dyed so it looks fresher, it's got red dye in it, so it looks like it maybe should. And or that animal was not treated fairly and humanely. And to buy that product and to give that money to those people for what they did to that animal, maybe that's something you could consider twice. We're getting real close to the end here. Is there anything else you guys want to think about? Are you thinking about something?
Yeah. I want to share that. Just,
If you want to talk at any point, I'd love to.
I don't know, I eat a lot of meat. I'm feeling better now. I ate a lot of meat.
When I started eating meat again, I felt like I regained nutrients because I wasn't eating properly as a vegetarian. There's very few people that can properly make sure they get nutrition from a vegan diet. Like, it's a hard thing to do. You really need to undertake it. People that are pasty white vegetarians around, you know, that's not healthy. It's not healthy to just eat cheese, you know. And so I'm not knocking anybody that eats meat as long as they understand what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, if you feel comfortable, yeah, I'm not knocking. You're strong. You're full of vitality, definitely. And everybody's body's different too, man. You know, some people can survive on less protein-based diet. Me, I need it bad. Oh, to keep me going and keep going and feeling strong how I want to feel. I need a little meat. I haven't quite figured out how to get that full range of nutrients into my diet without it currently. So I'm still working on that. But yeah, don't knock yourself down, man.
I think what Josh pointed out too, and also we talked about this the week before spring break when we drove last, is not necessarily not having any meat in your diet, but if you're going to have meat, to just be the awareness of where it came from, how it was produced, how the people were treated in the production of that meat, how the animals were treated, and if all of that matters to you, put your money where your values are and make those kinds of decisions, even if it means it might cost a little bit more, right? So.
Oh, and the cost to society is much greater for this cheap food. The cost to society that we're like exploiting people and we're exploiting animals and we're polluting large swaths of land by having these CAFOs. That's bad. Undeniably, I think that's bad. So the cost is really just not in those dollars that you spend in the grocery store. The cost is to the whole planet. And so to conclude, I really think that this whole business about nutrition and about health and how we make our food choices, the depth and the scale and the complexity of this thing that is so important, that we're doing 3 times a day, is going to have ramifications to all that we hold dear. So when you look at your list and you think of the 5 most important things to you, you know, your friends, your family, their health, their nutrition should be right at the top of your list of ways to help them. You know, family that has diabetes, stuff like that that's diet-based. It's important to think about. Just all these ramifications. How people are being mistreated in our society, how animals are being mistreated in our society, how land's being mistreated in our society, how the earth is being mistreated in this system. Any other questions you guys want to scat?
Let's thank Josh for coming in today.
Okay, so there was a lot of information.
I posted materials up on our Moodle site, so there's